Hi, and welcome to Daily Gem with Purposeful Living, a Bible study broadcast to equip believers to reign in life as sons and daughters of God. And today we'll continue on the topic called Purposeful Living. Like we said, to live with purpose means to know the intention for your creation, the reason why you are here on earth. As simple as that, not that big. We gave examples of basic things. When you see a car, you know this is a vehicle to commute from one place to another. Not to fly in the air, but to be commuting on land. When we look at ourselves, what do we think? When I look at you, what can I say is your purpose? That is what we want to find out. And first, we said the baseline to knowing our purpose or to living in the right purpose is to surrender to the will of God. Following the example of Jesus Christ, Jesus said, I have come to do your will, O God, not my will. So that is what we all want to start from. Say to yourself every day, Father, or say to God every day, Father, I am here to do your will and not my will. And then say to yourself, I am born to do the will of God and to accomplish great things for Him. After saying that, the next step, after accepting that I'm here to do the will of God, the next step is revealed to us in Romans 12, verse 1 and 3. Let us read that together. In Romans chapter 12, 1 to 3, he said, And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all He has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind He will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship Him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Read all of that again in your own quiet time. And then take note of the end. It said, then you will learn to know God's will for you. Remember we said purposeful living is knowing the reason why you were created. God had an intention, a will in mind when He was creating us. And then we want to know this will. First, I submit to the will. I accept that, Father, indeed, you created me for a reason. You had a desire, a will in your mind. Now I want to know that. And now Paul is telling me to know that. First thing I have to do, he said, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all He has done for you. We have to surrender. Not just in mind, but in our day-to-day life and action. Create time for God. Spend time with Him. Study His Word. Commune with Him and begin to live a life that pleases God. Secondly, he said, okay, still on the first one in surrendering, he said, let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind God will find acceptable. This is the true way to worship Him. So first, we surrender ourselves, our time, our body, our resources to God. Secondly, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. If we want to live a purposeful life, we just can't do things like everybody. Just take a look at this example. You wake up in the morning, you tell yourself, I'm going to work. And let's say my work is at number 7 Airport Road. Then you come out of your house and you see 5 people walking in different directions and you just start following them, copying their footsteps. Will you get to your destination? No way. Because they are going in different directions and you just joined them. But when you have a purpose, you have a goal, you have an intention, you set your address on the GPS and you start driving towards that mark. If we can do that for our daily life just because of our job, let's look at our life in general. Set a mark. Look for what God is telling you where you ought to be and don't copy people. Some people are going to different destinations. Why some people are literally going nowhere? They're just turning around in circles. And it might take you your whole life to realize, I've just been following this person and we're going around in circles. You don't want to go around in circles. You want to live purposefully. And God is telling us here, purposeful living, which is a life where you fulfill the main reason you were created and you have that true joy. It starts with surrendering to God's will. First, accepting that, yes, Father, I'm here to do your will. 2, surrender your body, your time, your attention, your purpose, your motives, everything to God's will. And 3, don't copy others. Men of purpose don't copy others. You define what you want and you go after it. If I want to be a soccer star, I should be at the stadium or at the field, jogging and training with other people. If I want to be an engineer, I should be at the construction site or go to university to study that. I won't say I want to be a doctor and I'm registered to a soccer school, or I want to be a basketballer and I'm in a photography studio school. No. Find your destination, submit yourself to it. Don't copy everybody. This is the beginning point. He said, and then, as you don't copy, you also give yourself to God to renew your mind. Spend time with God. So you don't want to stay void, like, oh, I'm not copying others, but I'm not doing nothing. No. You don't copy others, but then you stay in God's presence so He begins to fill you with His thoughts. That reason why He made you is right there. He will let you know that. And then He said here that then you will learn to know God's will for you. And this will is good and pleasing and perfect. What it's just saying there in simple terms is, when you finally find God's will for you, you will love it. You will like it. It will be a life that is perfectly made for you. So my dear friend, learn to live a purposeful life. A life that accepts that I am made to do God's will, number one. A life that surrenders the body, your time, your strength, your resources to find and fulfill this will. 3, a life that doesn't copy others, but rather spends time with God to learn to know why he or she was created. And finally, then you will learn to know what is the will, and that will is good. You will love it. Until we meet again, my friends, keep this thought in your heart and stay